Hey witches. Some stuff has been happening in my life and I wanted to share it with you now that I can get a better handle on what's going on. On one hand, it's nothing major because it's not majorly affecting my mundane life. No change in where I'm at or with my family or anything like that. But on the other hand, it's huge. So I'm going to start off with the big news and then I'm going to backtrack explaining the full situation. I've recently been, for lack of a better term, summoned by the goddess Hekate to work with her for a while. So there's the news, and I am going to backtrack because I know some of you all might be a little confused or concerned, because much of my work the past 3 years has been with the Norse pantheon. So I want to first state that this year, as some of you all might know if you follow me on social media, this year is my Saturn return. It's the first year of a Saturn return for me. Saturn returns take 2.9 years to fully work out, and it's when Saturn returns to the place where it was in your natal chart when you were born. For me, Saturn is in Capricorn in my 8th house. I have a sextile in that house in my natal chart, which is pretty major. For those of you interested in astrology. For those of you who are not, just know that the 8th house is the house of death, sex, and magic and witchcraft. And to have Saturn there is pretty interesting. I also have Pluto and Mercury there. It's pretty interesting. So my Saturn return is this year, or begins this year. And I thought I was prepared for it. I really did. I went and got a reading right before it happened. And I thought I was prepared. That I had a basic understanding of what this was going to happen for me. The other funny thing is my card for the year, my tarot card for the year is the Tower. So I don't know why I thought I would know what was going to happen or that I would be in any way prepared. I wasn't. And of course, it came out of the realm of witchcraft and death and my magical beliefs. So backtracking more, I first encountered Hekate many years ago. I encountered her when I was studying Wicca. I was studying to be a priestess and eventually a high priestess in a Wiccan tradition. Very drawn to her. But I was having issues with the Wiccan belief system. So when I stepped away from that, I ended up stepping away from all of it, including Hekate. A couple years pass. I develop in my practice, and she calls on me again. She shows up like everywhere. And that's one of the ways that gods call on you, is they just show up. Like in your reading randomly, you might pick up a book and turn to a page and it just be about them. Suddenly everybody's talking about them. Suddenly, the name is showing up everywhere, or her, or their symbols are showing up everywhere, like black dogs and snakes and stuff like that. So that was happening to me again. And this was it was right before I got pregnant. So I set up an altar to her. I began working with her. And then some stuff happened in my life, which took me away from my practice a little bit. And then I got pregnant. And many of you know that during my pregnancy, I got visitations from the goddess Frigga and started working a lot with the Norse pantheon, and then later exclusively with the Norse pantheon almost entirely, with a few exceptions of a couple of Irish deities and Hermes. But no Hekate. Hekate did not show up again. Well, this year, on almost immediately entering this year, I started getting signs from her. And at first, the signs were a little vague, and I thought they were from Saturn. So I kind of just took it as being, well, this is my Saturn return. I'm doing a lot of work with Saturn, so that's probably what it is. And then more and more signs came, and I put them off because I was very much like, no, I'm working with the Norse pantheon. I'm not even working with Hermes that much anymore. Like, this is what I'm doing. And, when we make plans, the gods laugh. So, finally, I got some hard lessons. Hindsight being 2020. I now see that those lessons were, I wasn't listening, and therefore, the situations I was in became difficult for me to remain in because I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. So I was like, okay. Specifically regarding communities, groups of people who want to dictate how you practice, and relationships with the gods. And I am of the opinion that your relationship and how you honor your deities is between you and your deities. Nobody can tell you what or how to act in your relationship with your gods. Only your gods can do that. Pretty much as long as it's not hurting anybody else, that's just between you and your gods. And some people disagreed with me, and I'm no longer in those communities. So, when when Hekate came back and was like knocking at my hedge door, as I say it, finally I was like, okay, I'm learning my lessons, and I'm in acceptance. What do we need to do? And the really funny thing is, so I started doing divination, and that I highly recommend. If you feel a deity is calling to you, do divination, and if you can, go and get somebody else to do some divination for you as well. Because it really helps to weed out what is you, and who is it exactly that you're talking to or that's calling to you. And if you have any doubts or any unease about it, that will help a lot. So, I asked her, I was like, okay, this is not making any sense. I've been working with the Norse pantheon. I've been working with my ancestors. And getting this calling to work with the deities my ancestors venerated, my indigenous ancestors venerated. And, you're not somebody my ancestors venerated at all. My ancestors come primarily from England, or not England, but the British Isles and Northern Europe. And Hekate very strongly responded with the basic concept that I would have to go back further than we have written record for, but my ancestors did honor her. And also kind of assured me that the concept, because it isn't it's a concept a lot of people have apparently, that Hekate is older than her Greek or Greco-Roman histories, that she's actually from like the Mesopotamic area, and her veneration goes back much further than we suspect. And I'm not the only person who thinks this, so I think that's pretty interesting. So there's that. Not that I believe that you can't worship or honor deities that are not within your ancestral you don't have to honor just deities that your ancestors honored. The reason why I was wary of that is because I have been called by my ancestors to do more work like that. So I was a little confused by saying I would do that and then Hekate popping up. It just didn't make any sense to me, but she assured me that anyway, so you get the idea. And then the other thing that popped up was, well, you know, why did I spend little over 3 years working with a Norse pantheon if I was just going to come right back to working with her? Like, it didn't make any sense. Why did it feel like I got swapped, like somebody swapped hands with me, you know? Like, I just got handed over to Frigga and the Norse pantheon and then brought back. And I was kind of shown the development that I had gone through during these past three years or so, which was a lot. It's a lot of development that I went through. I didn't even realize until looking back how major a lot of it's been. But pretty much I had to go through the teachings that I went through the past 3 years to separate me from the teachings that I got early on, and so I can learn to properly honor Hekate and to properly honor deity and my ancestors and do the foundational work of the witchcraft that I do. And so I don't know that I would have learned how to properly venerate my ancestors, how to properly approach deity, how to properly do divination, if I had not been put on that path of, you know, heathenry and northern tradition paganism. And I will always honor those gods. My work with Hekate will not prevent me from honoring them. It's not a matter of you can only worship one deity or person. It was more like, or not person, pantheon, but it was more like having a major relationship with someone and then relationships with other people, like friendships even, or working relationships. But it's so much more than that, and it's hard to explain. But anyway, you can honor multiple pantheons or gods from multiple pantheons. The important thing is to not do cultural appropriation or try and put a god from one pantheon and stick them into a mold of another one. Like, I would not honor Hekate in the same way I honor Frigga or Hel or Ire. I would not honor Hermes in the same way I honor Odin. I would, just because that these are deities that have some similar aspects does not mean you can honor them the same way. So, yeah, lots to consider, lots to play with here and unpack and look at. But that's something that's, I wanted to do a video on it because you're going to see me talk about it more on the website and the blog. And I didn't want you getting confused. I'm going to, considering that it's been so long since I worked with Hekate, I feel like I'm going to cry, so if I do, sorry. But I do feel like it's a homecoming in a way. I feel so elated and just, wow. I'm really tired right now, so that might not be relating well to the camera. Last night, I journeyed without meaning to in my sleep. And some of you might understand this if you've done that. When you journey in your sleep, you're not really resting. So I'm really tired. But I wanted to make this video and I wanted to get some work done. So that's why. Tonight I'm gonna use some not dream balm, but sleep balm, and get some really good sleep, so that way I'm not feeling this way tomorrow. what was I saying? See, I'm very tired. Oh, you're going to be seeing more of it on there. But because it's been so long, and even though I do feel right at home back with this work, I am going to be doing a devotional period to Hekate. And I thought October would be a wonderful time to do that, considering it's kind of it's that month where we all kind of take a moment to honor the veil thinning and the dead and all these things that Hecate has a definite hand in. So next month I'm going to do 31 Days of Devotion blog post on the blog. In the meantime, I'm just going to be doing some reading and some divination work and unpacking of everything that's going on. November, I'm still undecided, but I think November I'm going to be doing a lot of ancestor work. November has always been an ancestor focused month for me, so I'm going to be doing that. I don't know that I'm doing NaNoWriMo this year. I just have so much going on that I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not going to, because that has a bad jinx on it, I think, because I've said that in the past and I ended up doing it. So we'll see. But at this time, I don't think I'm doing NaNoWriMo. I think I'm just going to focus on ancestor work in November and work on my genealogy and sharing with you all of ancestor veneration, especially in light of working with Hecate, past working with Hel, stuff like that. And then in December, we're doing Witchmas. It will be the last Witchmas on startwitchin.com, because, as some of you may know, in 2019, I will be transferring my work with Start Witchin over to our new business and website, Emerald Toad. I already have a few blog posts up on emeraldtoad.wordpress.com. We will have the full website up in 2019 and all that. So Witchmas this year actually is going to have a lot of updates and interesting things to prep for Emerald Toad. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's kind of my update. I love September. I love fall. It's a fantastic time. I'm going to have another blog post up or another video up. I haven't decided which way I want to do it yet. About my thoughts regarding my relationship with Hecate, where it's taking me, where she's been in my life, and all that. But for now, I'm still processing. I would love to connect with those of you who honor Hecate, who have a relationship with Hecate. If you do, feel free to comment or email me at december@startwitchin.com. Any resources that you recommend, also great. I'm working on collecting, I think I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, Sarita Diest, her works. I have them on Kindle, but I want physical books. So I'm working on getting those right now. So yeah, so much. I'm still doing a lot of Northern tradition witchcraft stuff as well. My traditional witchcraft work is a lot focused on folk magic, and specifically the folk magic of my ancestors. So Appalachian folk magic, Northern tradition folk magic. And from what I'm reading, nothing I've come across so far is going to be against that. In fact, a lot of what I'm reading bolsters or goes right hand in hand with what I'm already doing. So I think that's kind of a beautiful thing. It kind of just solidifies the Hecate being the goddess of witches. You know, she's had her hands in all of this anyway. So yeah, I think that's all for my update. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's been kind of a long 20 minutes of me babbling. But I appreciate those of you who have been sticking around and who have been checking in on me and all that. And those of you who are interested in hearing more from me more regularly, I highly recommend you joining my Facebook group, Witches and Toads. I'm kind of on there more, or following me on Instagram, Start Witchin' on Instagram. So thanks for watching. Mwah.